Hey there, church. 3 members of CPC's Christian Meditation Group and I spent the first part of this week at a retreat with Father Lawrence Freeman, who is the spiritual director of the World Community for Christian Meditation, of which our group is a part. And a lot of that retreat was spent in silence, about 24 hours in silence, except for the times of prayer when we gathered together, morning, evening, and midday. And even during the times of prayer, we inserted minutes of silence between the different parts, the Psalms and the readings from the Gospels and saying the Lord's Prayer and stuff like that. After the first prayer session, Father Lawrence pulled the leaders in and said, we need to slow down. We're going too fast. We need to read the reading slower. We need to really observe a minute or 2 minutes of silence between the elements of the reading. The reasoning being is that silence helps us to really sit in God's presence. Silence really helps us to slow our hearts down enough to listen to a word or a phrase from the readings or the prayers through which God is trying to reach us. And I thought about just how hard it is in our world to be silent and how hard it is really to listen deeply. And I thought about the journey that we're on as CPC right now, a journey of promise in which we are listening for who we have been, who we are now, and who God is calling us to be. And how we're going to be studying the Bible, the call of Abraham, who received God's blessing, promising that God would bless him and make him to be a blessing, but was also called to go to a place that God would show him before God told him anything about where that place would be. So that meant that across Abram's journey, one of the chief things he had to do was listen. Listen for the small, maybe sometimes inaudible nudges that God was giving him for where he should go next, or encouragement God was giving him to trust. Goodness knows that Abram faltered at times and had a hard time letting go, and he, like a lot of us, was inclined to take matters into his own hands. But God remained faithful, and the promise remained a promise. And Abram, over the long haul, continued to journey by faith, and in view of the whole of Scripture, became one of the great people of faith in all of biblical history. So this Sunday we are going to have a shortened worship service, and at about 11:15 we will break into small groups. There will be a group upstairs for those who would prefer to be upstairs, and we'll have some groups downstairs, and we'll begin studying the call of Abram, asking how does this promise to be a blessing to others connect with CPC's life, in which we have been a blessing and seek further to be a blessing to other people? How does God's call for Abram to trust connect with the place we're in, where God is leading us in our ministry, but we couldn't say precisely how or where we will end up? God is calling us to trust where God would lead us. And of course, we'll do this all together, because the journey of promise isn't just for a few people to engage, it's for all of us to engage, because God's promise is for all of us, because the call to be faithful is for all of us. And of course, the blessing that God pours out through Abram is big enough to include all of us. So I hope to share this journey with you this Sunday, next Sunday, and then on October 6th and 13th, as we journey with Abram, we journey with the Spirit, we journey as people called by God, we journey as people of promise. So let's keep loving God, sharing relationships, serving others from the heart of Christ.